Alright, we're going to cut a die out of some opal. This is synthetic opal. Opal gets its color from little tiny silica spheres that are packed together. The size of the spheres dictates what color you get. This is synthetic, so it's actually still silica spheres, but it also is impregnated with resin, which I think will be good for a die because it means this will be pretty resilient. The only issue is synthetic opal only comes here in about 16 to 18 millimeters thick, and I need something quite a bit thicker for a die. So the plan here is I'm going to cut this into a couple pieces, and then this side here, which I think is the nucleated side, see the columns kind of growing up that way, I'm going to grind this face off, polish it, and then I'm going to stick it together with Hextol, which is a museum grade epoxy. And then that should leave us a chunk that's big enough to make a die out of. And this should be very colorful. Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get started. Okay, let's clean this up and then get it on the dop. God, stuck on there. Alright, we got to cut down to mostly the right shape. I will say this stuff is pretty tough, but no more tough than like jade or agate or something like that. Alright, so this swarf has a lot of purple in it. I think that means the resin that the opal is stabilized with probably has some color, and that's what gives it the overall purple hue. I definitely think the iridescence is still coming from the actual opal, the tiny balls of silica that are ordered together. But there's some coloring from the resin too. So I was originally planning a star cut or a bevel cut for this die, but kind of playing around with it and feeling the toughness, I think it'll handle sharp corners really well, and I have not made a sharp corner die in quite some time. The sparkliness of this die is really going to come from the color of the opal, so I think leaving it sharp edge will be really kind of a cool look. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite cut is. Alright, we're going to try something a little bit different. This is how I usually finish glass for my dichroic glass dice. Take a little bit of metal there, because this has a magnetic back. Now this is like a resin lap that has 1200 grit in it. So we'll see how this does. The issue with a lap like this is it tends to round the corners a little more than I want, but we'll see how it goes. I have done the 1200 grit with the resin, and I'm not super happy. You can see there's a lot of rounding in this facet. See how like the reflection of the light there kind of bends as it gets to the edge? It's probably fine. Most people wouldn't notice that. I care a lot about quality and things like this, so I've actually ordered a
harder resin lap that I think will do a better job, and we'll wait for that to come in to redo this pre-polish.
Alright, let's go take this 1200 grit off of here and get reset. So this is just going to re-flatten these faces. Take that rounding off. It goes really fast. So this is actually the same idea. It's resin with diamond in it, but it's kind of like a higher quality, flatter situation. Let's see how this does. It says to burnish it first with like 400 grit sandpaper, but I think I can come back and do that if this doesn't cut well. So I'm just gonna try it first and see what happens. It's about a 1200 grit and a 3000 grit, and I think I'm glad I did. I think it'll take both of them.
We got this back to 3000 now, and it's looking pretty good. I think it's ready for a polish. The facets aren't nearly as rounded, so that's good. Kind of see that. Really makes a big difference. The blue pads that I use are called Spectra Ultralaps, and they usually work really well for polishing silica. They're not doing a good job here. They're leaving these little scratches behind. I don't know if that's like a contamination thing, but I've tried a couple of them and cleaned everything, and I'm still getting them. So I'm going to try a bunch more things here and then report back if I find something that works.
So I'm constantly flushing and then taking breaks so that the lap has time to clean off. It's kind of one of the fun things about this. Yeah, I mean, it looks like I'm cutting the same thing every time, and often I am, but really everything's different to me. I mean, everything's a different recipe. You'll see that's why I don't work with the same stone very often, because if I just cut a D20 out of the same thing every time, I would get pretty bored. But these kind of diversions from the norm keep me interested. Oh, this is gonna look so good.
Alright, that's final shaping done. So 600 grit is done. We have the resin diamond laps to go. That'll be 1200, then 3000, and then we'll get the polish done. The difference between polish and like 600 grit on this stone is incredible. The polish just looks like, I don't know, it looks magical.
I'm skipping the 1200 with the resin lap because I don't think it did enough over the 600. So we're gonna go straight to the 3000 and see how that goes. It's been a while since I've made a sharp edge die, and I really like them. They have such a tactile feel when the corners press into your thumbs. They might look very simple compared to my star cut design, but it's actually just as difficult to make a sharp edge die because getting all the corners to line up is really tricky. I've never cut a die with such striking color. It has a magical quality that makes you think it's not of this world. I like to picture this die in charge of the fate of a wild magic sorcerer who draws on the power of the cosmos, pulling in swirls of arcane energy and exploding with surging, untamed magic.